Hi everyone, and welcome to the Get Certified series. My name is Anupriya, and today I will be talking to you about the shopping exam. Before we get started, let me inform you that this is a completely live event. So should you have any questions for me throughout the event, please feel free to pop them into the chat box and I'll be very happy to answer them either during the course of the Hangout or right after. Also, this presentation is going to be focused on Google Shopping and how you can take the certification for Google Shopping on your partner's account. However, given that it's only 45 minutes long, I will be keeping it a little basic. But again, should you have any questions around it, do feel free to ask throughout the Hangout. All right, so what's on the agenda for today? First, we will talk about why Google Shopping and why you should be on this platform. Then we will talk about how you can set up Google Shopping using the Merchant Center, how you can create shopping campaigns in AdWords, and finally, how you can measure your success on Google Shopping. Let's jump right into it. What is Google Shopping and how does it even work? Google Shopping is essentially a form of Google advertising that uses shopping ads. Google uses an advertiser's campaign to create these ads which show a photo, a title of the product along with a description, details about your store, etc. If you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see what the shopping platform looks like and what a product listing ad looks like. Now, each of these individual ads are essentially called product listing ads. They can appear either on Google Shopping or on your search results page. You may then ask me, how does Google know when to serve my ads? This is when your Merchant Center comes in handy. Your Merchant Center is essentially where you upload details about your product. Google then goes away, looks at the details that you've uploaded, such as your title and your description, and then matches them to user search terms. We will delve into this a little deeper in the upcoming slides, but this is essentially the base of Google Shopping. Now, Merchant Center is a tool that is available where you can use essentially upload and show product data to Google. And this is largely used for Google Shopping ads and other Google services such as dynamic remarketing. Google Shopping is currently available in the US, UK, Australia, Germany, France. You can look it up on the Support Center. And we've also recently introduced shopping in countries such as Ireland. So if you're based out of any of these countries, you can go ahead and use them. All right, let's now look at where do shopping ads appear. As mentioned previously, Google Shopping ads essentially appear on three platforms. First is Google Search, then Google Shopping, and then the Google Search Partner websites. Shopping ads can appear at the same time as text ads. So essentially, if you have one AdWords account, you could probably trigger a text and a shopping ad together if relevant. The cost is the same as other ad formats on AdWords. Shopping ads also participate in an auction, and the advertiser is only charged when someone either clicks on an ad that leads directly to the landing page, or they click on an ad that leads to a Google-hosted page for your local inventory. So in essence, you're only ever charged for a click on your ad. And it can be on any of these three properties that we discussed. You may ask me, why use Google Shopping then? The reasons are quite simple. Firstly, it helps you generate more traffic and promote both online and local inventory that you may have in your store. You can find better leads, especially with the interactive ad formats that helps users see a picture of your product before clicking on the ad. And you can use this platform to sell new, used, or even custom goods, enticing your users to actually purchase your product by looking at the picture and also any prices that you may list there. It also helps you increase your online presence as a retailer, given how big Google's search platform and shopping platforms are. And therefore, when the user is looking for your product specifically, you definitely want to make sure that you show up. You can gather data and insights using reporting and performance metrics for your shopping campaigns. You can see where the users came in from, what were the products that were best selling for you, which people clicked on which product more specifically, and details like that that can not only help you optimize your Google ads, but in general, your retail strategy. You can also customize your product feed to include details that make your products unique. So you can add in your USPs to the description. You can customize it to add your own custom labels and put in as much data as you want Google to see there and use to serve your ads. And lastly, you can optimize for mobile, which means that you can have a very easy retail-centric campaign management that can be device-specific as well. As we know, most users are definitely on the go nowadays. So while I look for something, say I want to buy a new pair of shoes, right? I probably search for it on Google, browse to the first few ads that comes out on my mobile phone, go home, open it up on my desktop, and convert a few hours later. Which is why it is important that you use shopping to your advantage, especially on a platform like mobile. How do we get started then? All right, so we've broken it down into 3 simple steps for you. First is to upload your product data feed into the Google Merchant Center. Second is to go into AdWords and create your shopping campaign, which will allow you to bid on your products and participate in AdWords auctions. And lastly is to showcase your ads on Google Shopping and make sure you continuously optimize them to give you the best performance that you're looking for. So let's break each of these steps down. 1, how do we use the Merchant Center? And what even is the Merchant Center? Okay, so the 3 steps again to using the Merchant Center account is firstly to open a Merchant Center account, which you can do by simply doing a Google search for Google Merchant Center, and you should see a sign up link there. Now, opening a Merchant Center account requires you to provide a little bit of basic information about the business, such as accurate contact information, a secure checkout policy on your site and a secure checkout process on your site. Make sure you have a clear return policy, you have billing terms and conditions, and you have a complete checkout process, which basically means that the user should be able to go to your website and buy the product then and there. It can't be a product that is, they pre-order or they simply place show an interest for, and then they go ahead and purchase it offline. So there needs to be a mean of online purchase. Once you've checked all these boxes and made sure your site is eligible for Google Shopping and the Merchant Center, you can then open your Merchant Center account. And essentially over here, you need to verify and claim your site URL, which is usually done by placing a piece of code on the website to make sure that we know that you genuinely do own this website and you would like to advertise for it. If you have multiple clients under you and you're an agency, you can set up a multi-client account, which will allow you to set up and manage multiple Google Merchant Center accounts. And then lastly, you need to learn how to navigate your Merchant Center account. And we'll walk you through all of the steps in the section that follows. All right. Also, please note that Google can contact you with any technical violations that may happen in your Merchant Center account. So it is quite important that the contact email that you provide in this instance when you're signing up for Merchant Center is one that you regularly use and one that you have access to avoid any account warnings or suspension in the future. As I mentioned, a multi-client account is essentially useful for agencies or anyone who manages multiple client feeds and wants to do it from within a single interface. So a lot of you who are agencies or who have multiple accounts or are rather large companies might be aware of a concept called My Client Center or the MCC, which is essentially like an umbrella account in AdWords housing all your other child accounts. Now, the multi-client account is essentially the equivalent on the Google Merchant Center, which is it is a shell account that houses all your multiple child accounts right underneath it, and it helps you manage multiple inventories without having to grant yourself access to each and every one of your child accounts. You can do this by asking a Google rep to switch over to a multi-client account for you. And also, after switching to multi-client, your current Google Merchant Center account will default to a chosen sub-account that you want, right? So if you have a current Merchant Center account, once we convert it to a multi-client account, your current account becomes a sub-account of your multi-client account in essence, right? And then you can go ahead and add in as many client accounts as you need at the moment. All right. Now that we know how to set up a Merchant Center account in general, and we've made the choice between having a standalone Merchant Center account or a multi-client account, we get to one of the most crucial parts, which is creating a product data feed, right? Your product data feed is essentially a feed wherein you upload all the information about the products that you're selling, such as the title of the product, the price of the product, the condition, what gender it is made for, if it's apparel, etc. So your product data feed can be created in 3 formats largely. The most common formats, that is, either a text, tab delimited, or an XML file format. You will see that there are a lot of other formats that are also supported, but a lot less commonly used in our experience. If you don't want to upload a feed and you want Google to automatically fetch information from your site on your products, then you can set up a Google API for shopping. If you use one of, a lot of retailers commonly use platforms or content management systems and they to host their retail sites, and they would want Google to automatically pull information from there, say a Shopify or a BigCommerce, for example. You'll see that there are a lot of these systems are supported by Google, and they will have a plugin that will allow you to send this information directly over from your website right over to Google Merchant Center. So if you do want to explore that option, you can go ahead and contact a content management support. And lastly, you can have an e-commerce platform import. Now, what do you put in this product data feed? What are the required attributes? So essentially, when you're uploading a product data feed, you would need to put in certain attributes inside the feed. So as I mentioned, the title is an attribute, the price is an attribute, the item ID is an attribute, right? So you'll notice over here, we have some common product categories, and we also have some attribute names. You'll see ID, for example, which is item ID, is essentially mandatory across all the common product categories, right? Same goes with title, description, link, which refers to the link that you want users to be directed to once they click on your shopping ad, and image link, which is the link on which your image is hosted externally and the image that will be shown on your shopping ad. You then also have factors like availability and price. Availability definitely means whether the product is in stock or out of stock, and the price, as the name suggests, is the price of the product. We have something called Google Product Category. Now, this is quite interesting. So what Google has done in order to make sure that we bucket information correctly on this platform, given that there are absolutely no keywords, we have something called the Google Product Category. So say you sell decorations or party decorations, you'll notice that there might be a product category for that. Or if you sell lifestyle, anything related to lifestyle and home decor, there will be product categories for that as well. And you can drill down on multiple levels. Once you've added this product category, Google knows that your products are segmented to this particular industry or this particular vertical. And therefore, they will also know to serve these products with similar or same products from other merchants to give you the best competitive advantage, and to also make sure that your ads are extremely targeted to your specific target audience. Now, product identifiers is actually attributes that are quite important, and I'd like to talk about this for a few minutes. A GTIN is essentially a unique identifier that is assigned to each and every product by the manufacturer. Now, this is a global number. It's a global trade identifier number, and it is assigned to products, as the name suggests, on a global level. Some products may not have a GTIN. And GTIN, in this case for Google Shopping, is a required attribute, as it allows us to be able to bunch products correctly and to bucket them correctly. In case a GTIN doesn't exist for your product, such as it's a custom product or it's a refurbished product, or the manufacturer simply hasn't assigned a GTIN to it, what you can then do is use your brand and your MPN, which is a manufacturer assigned internal number for them. And you can use this in lieu of your GTIN. However, be sure that you've checked with your manufacturer for the existence of the GTIN before you skip over this step, as if the GTIN does exist and you simply have chosen to not use it, your products will be disapproved. So in essence, you must definitely have product identifiers in the field and in the feed, preferably your GTIN, and should it not exist, your brand and your MPN. All right. Then you would have detailed product description categories such as condition and whether the item is intended for an adult audience or not. So for people who might not, who might be retailing, slightly sensitive products that are not intended for a juvenile audience, you will definitely want to indicate using this category that your products are adult only, so that Google knows to serve your products at the correct demographic. And also then you have shipping, which allows you to signify whether you have free shipping or how much you charge for shipping and at what rates you charge for shipping given the zip code that the user is entering. So you can add in a differentiated shipping rate depending on what regions you ship to and how much you charge for it. Now that we've gone over some of the required attributes, let's talk about the recommended attributes. Now, these are attributes that essentially help you to understand and organize your product data better. These are not attributes that Google mandates that you have, but if you have them, it's good for both you and for the Merchant Center. So you have labels, product type, product category, color, which is extremely useful, especially if you're selling, say, jewelry or clothes. And then you have size and gender. And again, this is extremely useful when you're retailing, clothing material or accessories of any kind that might be gendered or might come in different sizes. Now, how do you run sales in data feeds? Sales is essentially a feature that you're able to use on your shopping ads via your product data feed. What you need to do is simply use the sale price attribute, and you can use it in conjunction with the sale date attributes to indicate a limited time sale. So you can see in your product data feed, you might have a sale only on one product. You can use the sale price attribute, leaving all other product fields blank. And then you can add in your sale price there. And if you want to have a sale price effective date, then you can also add in the timestamp as shown on the screen. Now, the next one is really, really interesting, it's called microdata. Now, what happens when you have a certain price on your website? You've entered another price on the Google feed, but due to some circumstances such as stock running low or high demand for the product, you are forced to change your price quite frequently. You can't go and keep updating your product feed every second or every microsecond. What happens in such cases, and how do you provide the best user experience? Now, schema.org microdata is essentially something that you implement on your product landing pages, and that helps us get up-to-date information directly from your site. So how does this work? In the image that you see on the right, you can see that when we update price and availability of an item using price information and say a text data feed, and then when you upload an item with, say, a price of $1, right? A Google Shopping user, who is the blue icon in this case, will see that price. If we find a price mismatch between your feed and your website after you've uploaded this feed, we will update the price of the item automatically. So say in this example, we see that you have a $2 price on your website, which doesn't match the text feed that you have provided to us, right? Because you have schema.org microdata updated on your site, the end user will still see a price of $2 on your feed and on your product listing ad. And then finally, when you upload your feed the next time and you specify in the feed that the price of this item is $3, we will override what we see in your microdata and show the price to the end user as $3. So essentially what this does is it helps you provide the most up-to-date information to your end user and also makes sure that there is no mismatch between your feed and your website, helping you prevent what could be some disapprovals in your Merchant Center account and could also lead to your item being taken down. Now, this gets us to the next part. What do you do when your item's taken down? How do you know what's gone wrong and how do you fix it? So the errors that you see in Merchant Center will essentially affect you in 3 ways, right? If you're going to your Merchant Center account and going to the Diagnostics tab, you will see errors on 3 levels. One is account level errors, which is towards the extreme left. Now, these are errors that affect your entire account. and will take hold, or you will get warning emails about before they take hold. Then you have feed errors, which are errors that are specifically within a feed, and say there have been some processing issues or anything like that. And then finally, you have item level errors, which will highlight any individual items within a feed that might not be policy compliant or that might have some data quality issues. Now let's delve a little deeper into item level errors. So you essentially have two types of item level errors. Data quality. Now this is when essentially the quality of your data is not consistent. So say you have a price mismatch, as we spoke about earlier. Your landing page says one thing, your feed says another. That is a data quality error. And if you have policy issues, on the other hand, is, for example, the images that you've used for a certain product are not compliant with Google shopping policies, that would be a policy error at an item level. So you might see some of your items might be preemptively disapproved because of policy errors. But once you fix the error that you see in the diagnostics tab, you can go ahead and just upload your feed again, which will help refresh the Merchant Center, reevaluate your products, and make sure that if the error is fixed, your products are approved. For account level issues, on the other hand, you do get a warning email about it, and you get a grace period to try and fix the error. If you're not able to fix the error within this grace period, your account will unfortunately be suspended. However, once you fix the error, even after account suspension, you can go ahead and request a re-review for your entire Merchant Center account using a pop-up alert that will appear in your diagnostics section. The graph that you see there is also very useful because it helps tell you how many of your products are still pending approval, which is in orange, how many are disapproved, which is in red, and how many are approved, which is in green. However, bear in mind that there is a 24-hour lag between the diagnostics tab updating and your feed being uploaded. So do make sure that you check using the top right-hand side timestamp as to when the diagnostic tab was last updated. Right? So do wait for 24 hours after your feed has been uploaded to see any errors in the diagnostic tab. All right. Now that we're confident with using the Google Merchant Center, let's talk about creating shopping campaigns in AdWords. Before we go ahead and create shopping campaigns, you need to be able to link your AdWords in Merchant Center account so that AdWords can pull information directly from the Merchant Center. To do this, you need to set up a Merchant Center account and an AdWords account, and then request linking from within your Merchant Center account. Right? So you can go ahead to account linking under the gear icon on Merchant Center, and you can request to link it to a specific AdWords account. Once you've linked it, as you can see on the screen, you will see a status icon there, either showing the account has been linked or is currently not linked. Once you do this, you will get an alert in AdWords showing that the Merchant Center account has been linked, and after 24 hours, you're ready to go ahead and create your first shopping campaign. How does a campaign structure look like? So you have an AdWords account, which is linked to the Merchant Center account, as we discussed. You create a shopping campaign underneath it. Now, the shopping campaign is where you set your location settings, which means who do you want to target, your budget settings, how much do you want to spend on this, and any bid adjustments that you might have. So say you want to focus more on mobile, or you want to focus more on any other specific device or a sub-location within your specified location. So say you're selling products in the UK, but you want to be a little more competitive in London, for example, you can go ahead and set a bid adjustment against it. Then you'll go ahead and create ad groups under each campaign. Now, an ad group can be based on product types or product categories. So you should essentially structure your ad groups based on how you want to place bids, negative keywords, and how you want to use the search terms report. For example, you can create ad groups of each of your top brands so that you can make adjustments and see search terms reports for each of these brands. So essentially see what people were searching for when they saw ads for these brands. When you use multiple ad groups in one campaign, they can still fall under the same campaign setting. So Google will only use the highest bid that you set across the entire campaign when there is a product included in multiple ad groups in the same campaign itself. So say a product falls under 2 categories that you might have, we'll still use the highest bid within the same campaign for that product. Now, ad groups in the same campaign essentially is something that we covered, but how do you essentially create these ad groups, right? And how do you create these subdivisions within these ad groups? So once you've based your ad group on a certain category or a product type, you can go ahead and create a product group, which is essentially for your specific products. For your specific products, you can delineate your products as per item ID, or by brand or category, which is an attribute that is used on your Google product taxonomy. Your product type, which is an attribute assigned to you based on your categorization that you have internally. Your condition, which is new, used, or refurbished, however you want to specify it, right? So the idea of a product group is you choose on what basis you want to place your bids. Either you want to place differentiated bids for each and every item, which is when you use item level, or you want to place bids based on a certain grouping, such as the condition of the product. You want to bid more on new products and less on old products. Depending on your business objective, you go ahead and choose your product group. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and set up your shopping campaign. So once you've visualized how you're going to do it and what structure you're going to follow, you can go ahead, go to plus create campaign and create a shopping campaign, right? And once you see that, you can also import settings from other shopping campaigns if you already have some existing ones, because this is essentially good for duplicating any success that you might have from one campaign to another. You'll also see that there is a place to link your Merchant Center account, which is called your Merchant Identifier. Now, this Merchant Identifier connects your Merchant Center account to the campaign. And once you save this campaign, it cannot be changed. So make sure while you're setting up this campaign that you've double checked this and you've made sure you're using the correct Merchant Center account. Also, you will need to select your country of sale. It's important that your feed matches the requirements for this country as well as your landing pages. So the currency needs to be the same as in the country of sale that you've chosen. So if your landing page has, say, dollars as a currency, but your country of sale is going to be Great Britain, that's going to be a mismatch and your ads are not going to run. All right. Now that you've set up a shopping campaign, let's talk a little bit more about product groups. You can use any of the 6 attributes that I was earlier describing to create product groups. Now, the reason we're delving a little into this is because it's quite crucial to your success in your shopping campaign, as this is the basis on which you bid. And your bid, given the lack of keywords, can be very, very instrumental, just as your title and description are in your Merchant Center. So you use product type and you want to use your own product categorization system. For example, you have road bikes versus dirt bikes versus mountain bikes. That's an attribute that you would use. Category is when you don't have your own taxonomy, but you want to bid by product types. So you will use the Google product category that I was earlier describing, which is a hierarchical structure. You can use brands when you have similar product types, but you carry multiple brands of it. So say you have various types of lipsticks, or in this case, bikes. You can use Acme bikes versus other bike brands. When you have a smaller number of products, however, or you want to be very controlled in your bidding and want to make sure that you have very, very differentiated bids for all your products, you can use item ID, which will help you break up all your products by item ID and set individual bids for them. Condition is useful when you have many used or refurbished products. And custom labels is when you have your own structure in mind, right? So you want to bid on your own customized category. And essentially, this is when you're a little more conversant with shopping as such, because you want to have your own categorization. You want to make sure that you're upselling a little more of your best-selling products than the others. So this is more for optimization reasons that people use custom labels. So say you have a custom label for bestsellers. You want to group all of them into one product group, as opposed to seasonal sellers. You want to group them into another product group and set bids accordingly to them. So how do you use the custom labels, right? Advertisers can essentially use custom labels to subdivide products in a campaign using chosen values. Custom labels are a great way for you to subdivide them into specific product groups, as we talked about earlier. And you can use this for either like special sales or special times of the year, such as say Christmas, or when you have your very specific own product structure and you want to replicate it into shopping. So this is usually very, very useful for when you have set key performance indicators or KPIs, such as your conversion rate, your inventory, or seasonality. And you can go ahead and map these back to your products using custom labels, and then choose to set your bids on them. So you can essentially assign about 5 labels per product with these attributes, which, as you can see on the screen, are custom label 0, custom label 1 through 4. So let's look at a representative example, right? Your custom label 0 could be season, which would have values such as spring, summer, fall, winter. Then 1 could be, say you want to run specific promotions during winter, right? Flash sale, clearance sales, merchant promo, that could be custom label 1. And so on. So essentially, you can use them to create multiple levels of differentiation and multiple factors based on which you can go ahead and pull them into your product group. Now, this is very common for retailers, especially, to have the same product across 3 or 4 shopping campaigns. So what happens in this case? When the same product is in multiple shopping campaigns, you can use campaign priority to determine which campaign should participate in the auction for the product. You should always adjust the priority when you choose to have the same product in 3 different campaigns based on what you're targeting to do. So the campaigns are usually low priority by default, but you can change it to medium and high. And priorities essentially determine the bid for any product that multiple campaigns share, as we mentioned, right? And this is especially useful when you're running, say, a seasonal sale for a product. So say you're running a Valentine's Day sale wherein the product also falls into your Valentine's Day gifting section, but it's also a general product that you carry. So say, for example, heart-shaped pillow might be a general product that you carry, but on Valentine's Day, it's even more likely to sell, right? So for Valentine's Day, you might want to put it on high priority in a separate campaign, wherein you might want to let it run in the background on a lower priority in your normal shopping campaign, right? So the lowest priority is the default option for all the items. Your medium priority campaign especially trumps lower priority campaigns, regardless of the bid, as long as the campaign budget permits. So the minute the campaign budget runs out, we fall back on your low priority campaign for that item at least. And your high priority campaign is prioritized over all other campaigns, as the name suggests, as long as the budget permits again. So the minute your high priority campaign exhausts its budget, we will fall back on medium. That exhausts budget, we'll fall back on low, right? So essentially, you always make sure that your item is running and has some presence, but you can choose to differentiate the bids on your item depending on how high a priority it is for you, given your seasonal trend or any other business requirements that you might have. Now, I know throughout the Hangout, I've spoken a lot about bidding, but how do you bid effectively on a shopping campaign? So you can have manual bids, which is called manual CPC, wherein you set bids manually and enter a bid for, say, each item level or at an ad group level. But you can also use some of the semi-automated bidding strategies or automated bidding strategies that we have in place. One that's really crucial and important is called Enhanced CPC, which automatically adjusts manual CPC based on each click's likelihood to result in a conversion. Now, this essentially means that you can use your conversion data to take advantage of this semi-automated bidding strategy to adjust your manual CPC by a certain percentage. And this is going to result in likelier more conversions for you and also an optimized use of your budget. You then have maximized clicks, which automatically set bids to help you get the most clicks within a target spend amount. So say you want as many clicks as you can within $100, you can go ahead and do that using a maximized bid strategy. It's great for when you want to spread brand awareness, you're new to the market, and you just want to tell people, hey, I'm here. Then you have target return on ad spend, which automatically sets your bids to maximize your conversion value while trying to reach an average return on ad spend. I would suggest that this is for slightly more mature advertisers who've used shopping for a while and have a lot of conversion data in the account. As the more conversion data you have, the likelier target ROAS is going to do better for you. Okay, now that we've set up a campaign, how do we measure success on these campaigns? The first and the most important part is conversion tracking. Now, conversion tracking essentially measures what happens after a customer clicks on your ad. Does a customer go to your website and just have a look around and does not convert? Or do they go ahead and make a purchase? Once they make a purchase, you need to be able to track this, and this is where conversion tracking comes into place. This requires you to put a snippet of HTML or JavaScript code on the page that customers see right after you convert, which is a thank you page, for example, so to help Google record the fact that the purchase was made. For retailers, it's also useful to note that you can have conversion tracking that passes on the value of the conversion back to the AdWords account as well. So you can experiment with this and check how much not only how many conversions AdWords is bringing you in, but also the value of these conversions. Now, a lot of you might use analytics. This is also possible to do via analytics. Doesn't require any extra code implementation in most instances, depending on the kind of tracking that you want. But if you're more comfortable using that, you can go ahead and use analytics to set up goal tracking and then import that back into AdWords. An interesting thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is cross-device conversions. Now, this is especially useful for retailers or people who would likely be on Google Shopping or e-commerce merchants largely, because as we all know, users tend to start their customer journey on one device, but in more instances than not these days, they end up converting on a completely different device. Cross-device conversions allow you to measure this value behind the user's actions, right? So measuring cross-device conversions gives you an insight into the value being driven by your ads across these devices. We know 98% of users move between devices in the same day. So say I start looking at your ad on a tablet, go home, check it out on my desktop, and then finally convert on my mobile the next day on my way to work. You will be able to add attribute some value to each of these devices and know that the user had multiple touch points before they even came to the final conversion. This is especially useful when you want to set up differentiated bids on the various device types. So depending on which part on the funnel of acquisition you are, say you only want to spread brand awareness, and you see most your cross-device conversions seem to indicate that people are starting off on one device and coming back onto another device to convert, you might want to increase the amount that you're bidding on the initial device to make sure you're getting the word out as much as possible. Now, how do you monitor and optimize your shopping campaigns? Let's talk about changing budgets first. As is suggested, you would want to increase your budget for profitable campaigns, especially those hitting daily budgets, and decrease it for non-profitable campaigns, right? So this is just hygiene, wherein you're making sure that you're either setting up a shared budget across multiple campaigns, or you're normally policing the budget on each of these campaigns to make sure that they're optimally utilized. You can check your mobile versus desktop performance and set a mobile bid adjustments specifically. You can also set location bid adjustments and increase bids for top converting locations, or decrease bids or completely even exclude low return locations for you. You can also segment campaigns based on the location to create separate budgets. So say you want to concentrate on London a little bit more than Manchester, or say a Sheffield, you can have 3 separate campaigns with more budget allocated to the London campaign and less to the Sheffield campaign. You also have something called ad scheduling, which allows you to increase bids at top converting times of the day and also decrease or exclude low return times of the day or of the week for that matter. So say you convert a lot more on Saturdays than on Mondays, you can go ahead and reduce the bid on Mondays, or even choose to eliminate Mondays completely and increase the bid on Saturdays. Negative keywords is extremely crucial, especially on shopping, as what this allows you to do is add irrelevant terms as negatives for all ad groups in a campaign. So since shopping does not allow you to specify the keywords on which you'd like it to run, and you have to depend on your title, description, and other product information, you do have the power to say on which keywords you absolutely don't want your ads to run. So say you sell wine glasses, you definitely don't want your ads to run on keywords such as glasses or spectacles, right? You don't want your keywords to run on simply wine bottles. You can go ahead and add them in as negative keywords to make sure that your ads are extremely targeted. You also have the option to adjust bids, which means, again, increasing bids for your profitable product groups, or if you're splitting them by item ID, increasing bids for specific products. You can segment your product groups. So you can drill down into product groups and segment them by brand, item ID, condition, and then choose to increase or decrease your bids. Applying custom labels is crucial to easily manage similar products, especially based on your return on investment, for example. So high ROI products you might want to bid more on, or you might want to optimize a little bit more, or in times of a sale, there are only certain products that are on sale. You can indicate that using a custom label. The bid simulator is an especially useful tool to estimate the impact of changing or decreasing based on your performance in the last week. So it works on data that's a week old and gives you an estimate on how your campaign would have performed or would perform if you increase or decrease your bids. Now that we've spoken at length about measuring and optimizing your campaign, what are a few best practices? And this is the question that we get asked quite often. What do we keep in mind while creating shopping campaigns? The first and most important thing is to remember to create a campaign that promotes your best-selling products. Use the information and the data that you have offline, which is your business sense and what you see in the store locally, and translate that into your shopping campaign. If you know certain books do better than others, make sure that you have a bestsellers list. Again, prioritize your best-selling seasonal or special promotion campaigns to put it on high priority to make sure that those campaigns and those products are always getting the lion's share of impressions and clicks and doing as well as for you as possible. Make sure that you list all of your products on the Merchant Center and try out all your products on Google Shopping. A lot of times, your offline trends might not mimic online trends. So products that might not tend to do very well offline might tend to do extremely well online. So you want to make sure that you give each product a fighting chance per se. Using strong call to actions and promotional text to highlight deals and USPs is great. Something like merchant promotions, which allows you to highlight a special coupon that you might be offering, or say 20% off on a $50 purchase, is something that is very useful to merchants in my experience to help entice the customers and highlight your product to them. To increase your conversions, bid more on product groups with a low cost per conversion and vice versa. So if you see a high cost per conversion, don't increase your bids in the hope of the cost per conversion going down. Instead, use strategies like enhanced CPC, which leverage your conversion data, and make sure you're taking full advantage of these strategies and Google's machine learning abilities to give you the best value out of your shopping campaigns. Also, I can't stress on how important it is to include relevant attributes in the title, such as your brand, size, and color, especially because these are attributes that help signal to Google what your product even is. And also to the end user, these are USPs that they're looking for in the product. And these are likely the terms that they're searching for in the first place when they're searching for you on Google Shopping or on Google Search. With that, good luck for your exam. This almost brings me to the end of my Hangout. Your exam will be 90 minutes long with 60 questions, and you need an 80% to pass. Once you do, you'll be good for about 12 months. Remember to get fully certified on AdWords. You need to take any one exam, such as the Google Shopping exam and also the AdWords Fundamental exam, right? All right. So before I get to your questions, I have a few pop quiz questions for you guys. I will be beaming them up on the screen, and then feel free to just pop in your answers on the comments section, and I will give you the answers after a few seconds. Let's get started. To subdivide products in Google Shopping or on shopping campaigns, using your own set product structures, you should use A, multiple data feeds, B, AdWords labels, C, custom labels, or D, starred items. So essentially, to subdivide products in shopping campaigns, what should you be using? So feel free to pop in A, B, C, D as you go on the comment section. I'll give a few seconds for everybody to sort of get in on the action. All right, the answer to this question is C, custom labels. Remember that there are 5 custom labels that you can use, so you can create a hierarchy, and multiple product attributes can be used in the form of custom labels. Now, which devices can shopping ads appear on? Mobile phones and desktops, mobile phones only, tablets and desktops, excuse me, or D, tablets, mobile phones, and desktops. Again, feel free to pop in your answers on the comment section while I go over and hop on to see what questions you've asked me today. All right, the correct answer to this is D. Google Shopping ads can appear on tablets, mobile phones, and desktops. You're eligible to see ads on all three. And in fact, you can set specific device bid adjustments for any of these three devices as per what your priority is. So I'll jump over to your questions. Firstly, thank you for asking me these questions, and I hope that this Hangout has been useful for you. My first question is, do you have a checkout for Google Shopping? That is, can it be used for lead generation? All right, so while we don't have a separate checkout option available for Google Shopping, we do require that you have a checkout option on your website. So there's no way that there isn't a Google recommended checkout practice that you can use, or a checkout plugin if that's what you're looking for that you can use. However, you can use it to generate leads as well. So you can add a form on your website, and you can add conversion tracking on the website. You can see how many forms people fill up. However, be sure to have a viable checkout option on your landing page, as that is a mandate for Google Shopping. Is there a WooCommerce or WordPress plugin for Google Shopping? Yes, there is actually, and you can find this on the WooCommerce site or even on the WordPress site. So there is a plugin that was recently launched by WooCommerce to integrate into Google Shopping directly. So you can go ahead and use that. Okay. All right. Is conversion tracking via Google Analytics goal importing still unable to track cross-device conversion tracking? That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Unfortunately, at the moment, this data can't be imported from Analytics. So it's essentially a feature that requires you to have the AdWords conversion code in place for us to be able to use cross-device tracking. Also, cross-device conversion tracking is essentially based on a statistically relevant, reliable set of data that we acquire. So it's not something that can be imported from Analytics. It is something that we assess using your AdWords conversion data as such. We do require that you have the AdWords conversion code. And once we are able to pull up a statistically reliable sample size and say with a 95% accuracy as to what devices the users came from, only then would we add in cross-device conversion tracking for you. Alrighty, I think these are all the questions that I had. Thank you so much for joining me today. Good luck for your exams, and we'll see you next time.